is May 12th, 2025, 4:00 p.m. And this is the Beautification of Public Arts Mission Meeting. And Annalisa, we started recording?
Yes.
Fantastic. So first thing we're going to do is the roll call. So Commissioner Edelman Heath, Commissioner Ruan,
Present and on time.
Commissioner or Vice Chair Cruz,
Present.
Commissioner McGrath,
Present.
Commissioner Travelby, and then Chair McCord, I'm here. As is obvious. So item C, upcoming events. Just a reminder to look at flagstaff365.com for upcoming events, music, culture, art, and sciences. Item 2, this is fun. We've got the ribbon cutting for the Multicultural County Park Sculpture Exhibition on year 2 on May 19th at 11 a.m. It was a really nice event last year. I really do encourage you guys to go. And then item 3, there will be a new Beautification and Public Arts Commissioner appointed at the May 20th council meeting. And so you'll notice that in our roll call that has changed. So, and then item D, is there any public participation today? I have no notice. Right. And then item E, approval of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at the April minutes? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
So.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Cruz? Are you in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes, my hand was up. Oh, I'm
Oh.
sorry, my camera's off. I didn't realize that. Yes. Aye,
No worries. And anyone against? No one's abstaining. So, was there any discussion to be had? I was a little late on that. But. Okay. So item F, announcements, staff announcements.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a crazy order today. I think we'll be taking H2, then G2, then H1, and then going to the beautification and action grants. So people's schedules got a little, confusing, so we're trying to accommodate that. So I'll just call it when it's ready, which item is going.
And if you can. I know that gets complicated to manage, so we appreciate that. Item 2, let's see here, Chair and Vice Chair announcements. School tour. I did give a public art tour to some students from Summit High School this last week. It was fantastic, and we looked at the Corey Begay mural. We looked at the Orpheum mural, and we looked at the art outside the courthouse and some other things on the way. And then we finished at the Ravens because it's next to them. And so, but the students asked great questions, and my understanding is that they're currently preparing a traffic box application. So they're really excited. So I think some people it really resonated that they could contribute to the culture there. And one little side note, the teacher told me that in the van on the way back, they were all talking and asking questions, and they kept pointing out things that needed to be beautified. So that was really great. And then also the Viola Awards were lovely this year. I really, I feel like that might have been one of the best editions I've seen in a long time. It was, it was fantastic. It really was. And, lots of great editions, many years, but this one, everybody was really engaged. The audience was engaged, which I've never had problems with in the past. And just, it ran really smoothly. It was delightful. So really well done on everybody's part. And then, did Mike or Audra have anything they wanted to contribute about the violas?
I don't, thank you.
I agree. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Well done. It went smoothly.
It's great.
I was part of 2 winning projects.
Were you?
Yes, Everett and the Art in the Open.
Oh.
Which is like, I guess.
Yes.
And then I have a friend that was a part of that town. But, and then item G, are we doing H1 first?
No, we're gonna do H2 first. So we're gonna do the American underpass design elements. I'm gonna give a brief introduction and then I'm gonna turn it over to Laura Milkarak, who is with Wheat Studio, a J2 design studio. And then I'm gonna also follow up about the survey results that we sent out to all of you. So I just kind of, because some of you haven't been, have the complete history with this project. The Milton underpass is part of the downtown mile. And because it's such a big project, it was the preference that we use the city consultants designer, but the Beautification Arts and Sciences program run kind of the public art process for it. And so we've been doing that. And a couple of years ago, we did a focus group. There was 2 BPAC members on that. I believe it was Commissioner Garcia and then Chris of Theatricos. And they were on it as well as community members from La Plaza Vieja. Actually, Ann Duono was on from Mountain Line was on that focus group for the Milton Underpass. It was a couple of years ago. She's now nodding. She remembers. But out of that focus group, came some ideas. And the designer has, kind of narrowed it down to 2 themes. And she's going to present those 2 themes. But I want you to know, like, this is not like a preliminary design, a design to approve yet. We're still, feeling this out. So that's why it's a discussion here today. And that's why we'll follow up with, what came out of the survey results and then what you guys think of the kind of design directions. All right. And with that further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Laura.
Thanks, Jana. But I was wondering, Jason's here too, and he was gonna maybe do a quick project overview before me. Would that schedule work?
Well, we have the same time slot. So if you want to divide your time with Jason, that would be great.
Does the audience feel like they need a description of the project? Okay.
I'm
Um,
also familiar with it.
I took the survey, so, yeah.
Yeah, as did I.
Okay. So Jason, you're off the hook. If I heard it, it's a little hard to hear you. Are you hearing me okay?
Very well,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for the introduction, Jana. And yes, Wheat Design Group is part of the WSP design team for the Downtown Mile project. I recently sold Wheat Design Group to J2. They are a landscape architecture firm in Phoenix. And the merge was really a good thing. We both have a lot of the same skill set. They work on a lot of transportation projects like Wheat Design Group, and also work on aesthetics for transportation projects. So we're not public artists, we're landscape architects, and we somehow fell into this niche and love it. But J2 is currently working on the I-17 Airport Road traffic interchange, and then they also worked on the I-40 4th Street underpass project. And I'm the landscape architect for the Lone Tree overpass, as well as this project, the Downtown Mile. So I just wanted to give you a little introduction. Next slide, please. Thanks. So when we do architectural treatments, sometimes they're called structure aesthetics, sometimes they're just called aesthetics. We also then talk about canvases and what are our canvases? How big are they? How tall are they? Who sees them? Visibility. So we talk about canvases. And so this is our canvases for the Downtown Mile. And the biggest canvas is going to be this long stretch You know, you can see it from downtown and also like going downtown, but it's wall 1. And then right in here is the bridge for the railroad. And they call underneath the bridge the abutment. And then we have wall L2. And so this up here in the pink, this one's L1 and this one's L2. So that's going to be our biggest canvas that we're going to be focusing on, as well as the abutments under the bridge. We also have an opportunity for the piers, the bridge piers, and depending on what direction we decide to take, there we could keep it really simple. Usually that's kind of the best case for piers since people are just driving and focused on traffic anyway. Wall 2 as well as wall R1A, they're pretty small and shorter, so I will get into that in a bit, what some of our opportunities could be for those walls. Next slide, please. So when like what I was saying about architectural treatments or structure aesthetics, we also then take the next step and think about materials or how, what our artwork, or not even what the aesthetics are going to look like. And up here in the upper left is, we call it rustication, or we call it form liner. And this in particular is a custom form liner where you see very specific plant materials. But over here on the left corner here, that's called a standard form liner. So we work with a couple companies, Scott System and Fitzgerald, and they have a whole catalog of standard form liners, and like just like this vertical rustication in the where the photographic tile is below. So and also some of the material that we're thinking about is perforated metal, and in the lower center are photos of actual people, and that's perforated metal. So you can get, these days you can get really specific images portrayed with perforated metal. In the upper right corner is also perforated metal. The silver, you can go more abstract. You can kind of see the images of trees, of nature. So there's a lot of opportunity, more recent than it used to be, with perforated metal. Down here, I didn't mention, but in Tucson, we use a lot of the photographic tiles. I'm not sure if that's the right application for Flagstaff because of your weather, but if telling stories is a desired direction, we could work with perforated metal instead. In the lower right-hand corner is a combination of standard form liner, custom form liner, and photographic tiles of historic images. And then lastly is the use of metal. You could do it real simple, or you could do the perforated style like in the lower left and also tell like maybe a story with that. Next slide, please. So as Jana was saying at the focus group, which was about 1.5 years ago now, I realized, is we kept so Jana had this survey and she provided it to the group so they could prepare, and then we got together and it was virtual, and we spent a good hour, at least 1.5 hours, just going through her survey questions, and then it got translated. We recorded it, so we got all the quotes translated back to us, and there was common themes that were throughout. Jana asked questions about sound. She asked questions about what music do you listen to typically? What are your feelings when you go underneath the Milton underpass? So we gathered all the comments, and we saw that there were 2 themes here, and we put one theme into sound and motion. And if you could just quickly go to the next slide. And then the other second theme is stories of Flagstaff. So, and then please go back to 4. Thank you. These red quotes are actual comments that came from the focus group. So there was the common theme of sound. Well, of course, the train makes sound, but there was also the heart. Like they felt that underpass, that right in that section of, right there in Flagstaff is the heart of Flagstaff. I mean, it's just such a experience to go underneath the Milton underpass, and then you're in the historic downtown, or you're leaving town, and thousands of tourists do it, all the time. So that they were talking about the Milton underpass as being the heart of the city, and the train, and the sound was as like horses or a herd of animals running past. So we put this all together and put it together as a theme called Sound and Motion. And up there in the upper left, the history of this area is dynamic. There's lots of movement. So when you think about sound and motion, I keep on just thinking it's a bit more of an abstract theme. Could mean a lot. And on the left-hand side is perforated metal that shows a watershed. And that's movement of water, and that's so important, even just in northern Arizona, and how it shaped the land. And the lower left are lights behind perforated metal, and it made me think of rain and the sound of rain and the motion of rain. It kind of with the lights, and that is a possibility, is to use perforated metal and lighting behind it. Also with movement is geology. So we thought about the bridge underpasses, the abutments underneath the bridge as having, we could use again perforated metal, but here are the geological layers of the San Francisco peaks. On the right-hand side is formliner showing movement, and the topography in Flagstaff in northern Arizona is so unique. So we have some opportunity there to depict kind of topographic layers. Okay, and the fifth slide, please. And so the other theme was, and the quote on the right-hand side really just kind of sticks out, as with the Milton underpass, it's this convergence of Flagstaff, the themes. You're on your way to the mountains. There's the rails, the Rio de Flag, the town center, historic Route 66. So and a gateway into Flagstaff, that came up many times as this Milton underpass. It's a very important project for your community, and it's a gateway, and we all know it. Like once you go underneath, you're in Flagstaff, you're in the heart of the city. So there's so many stories to tell, and the lower left has, Jana can maybe go into that with the survey, that people were a little distracted, didn't like the eyes. We were wondering about the stories of Flagstaff and how to bring in that human element without showing actual photos. That might get a little tricky if you're actually, then that would need a committee maybe to decide which photos to show. So on the bottom right is a collage that could be perforated metal of more natural elements of the Flagstaff region. And then upper left is formliner. And so you can do, the custom formliner can be very, very detailed, like these runners. So it's more of a combination. I've shown you, these two themes with metal, perforated metal, formliner, not to forget about paint. But just to share my screen real quick, is that okay? Would that work?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I just wanted to kind of go back to our place here. And, our biggest opportunity is going to be this long wall. It'll be a new wall for our project. And with there's a real short wall here, and then another kind of smaller wall here. And if we're liking the perforated metal, for example, we may not be doing, of course, the whole wall in perforated metal. That might be a little cold, but we could kind of just focus our stories, for example, kind of close to the bridge, and then underneath the bridge, and then shortly after, and then use maybe a standard formliner at these end caps. And then the standard formliner could be used on this side too, because you don't have the canvases on the east side like you do on the west side. So I think that's about all I have. But I just wanted to kind of end it with our Google Maps and showing us our site, so you can really kind of picture some of these architectural treatments on the new walls.
Thank you so much, Laura. So, in conjunction with this, when we had these two themes and these different kinds of materials, we wanted, some greater public input. I mean, obviously VPAC is our main community input, but there's also the wider city. So we used the new Connect Flagstaff, community forum, and we put that survey out, and we got quite a robust response. And, I think, of course, there's always going to be tension in the answer. Some people are going to like this and some people are going to like that, but that we expect that. But I do think that there was some, gems to draw out of there. And what I wanted this discussion to focus on is, what is really standing out to you that Laura can take and, start refining an idea, whether it's the materials or whether it's the themes, what's working, what's not. And then what did you see in the surveys yourself? You reviewed the survey comments. What would you like to kind of bring out from those survey comments? And so I'm going to just turn it over to VPAC to comment.
I do have an initial question for you, Laura.
Yeah.
Have you had, and this is Carla McCord, have you had an opportunity to visit the site since the Downtown Connection Center has been largely completed?
It was my daughter goes to school there. It was I have not seen it completed though. It was about halfway last time. Yeah.
It completely transforms the east side of that area.
Mhm.
And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for a conversation artistically between whatever happens on the underpass project and the walls and what's happening now. And I know that they've made a lot of effort to really make that a lovely part of the entrance to Flagstaff.
Right.
So
We have a meeting. Yep, we have a meeting next week with the architect as well. I'm pretty excited to see that I think it's going to be the next presentation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just because it is a significant change at that intersection. And then I really like a lot of the things that you've brought forth here. One of the things I noticed in the comments, and it's always a danger with comments, but I figure we'll just eliminate it. That's this part of the conversation now or get through it, is that, within public comments, there are always people who don't understand that the funds allocated to beautification are allocated by voters, and that's a tax. It's not something we can put towards new fire trucks. And I think it's important to make that note. And also, there are clearly some people within the comments that don't understand the sheer quantity of public outreach. In fact, the comment that they're actually making is a part of the public outreach when they say there should be more public outreach. So I want to make it clear in our conversation that there is public outreach, and that the funds cannot be allocated elsewhere. So, but I did really, really love the images of people moving that were more abstract. I'm not a huge fan of specific photography of individuals. I don't know that an underpass is really the right spot, but I like the idea of kinetic human movement. And, there's bicycle and on foot, and there's about to be a lot of changes in just the running routes that are available to people when they do the underpasses on either side. And that's about to become a pretty popular zone for Flagstaff's runners, and that's an important part of their legacy. It's not a part of everybody's legacy here, but it's something we haven't memorialized.
They don't say hi. What are the
Yes, I did see that.
Runners don't say hello.
That's because we're breathing hard.
Because we're breathing hard.
It's 7,000.
We're smiling.
It's very hard to breathe. But I mean, there are a lot of people that move by foot and by bicycle and running, and there's also migration that happens here, whether it's butterflies or elk or whatever is moving around. And I think there's a lot of really nice movement we can address that could be really beautiful in a form liner.
Well, and a few people commented that there's no reason why the two themes need to be mutually exclusive. But I do think that we can tell the story of Flagstaff through motion and sound.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, no, I think that's fair. Yeah, I
yeah, I was interested in some of the themes. I think that was something that I think maybe people had lost sight of, as it was mostly kind of car oriented commentary, and that there are people will experience it as pedestrians and bikers. And so I think there's an opportunity for the art to kind of have two scales that interact with both those modes. And then I did notice people were really taken with the perforated metal, and I think that is a medium that has a lot of opportunity. And I thought that the comments about wanting it to feel local, because I know it's true to the south of us, a lot of the highways do feature form liners that have standard patterns that are used in creative ways to tell a new story. And I'm sure Gloria's an expert, so I'm sure she'll make it look beautiful however she does it. But I was really intrigued by, and again, I don't think it's an all or nothing, like Laura's mentioning. I think featuring a metal panel could be a really neat and unique piece of highway and Flagstaff. So I was excited that that came through in the comments, and I hope that I would love to see that explored in the design.
I loved the idea of using lights
Yes.
with the metal panels. I thought that was really beautiful. It was kind of inspired for maybe another project. Like, it would be really incredible to do something like that to convey a monsoon moving through space, behind the perforated metal. I thought, I was like, God. Then I was like, oh my God, people are gonna stop and want to see them. And so, if we can't put words on traffic boxes, I have a feeling that would probably be. So, but you know the deal. So.
Anybody else?
I think it's really clever, the idea of incorporating the sound of the train with like a herd of animals.
Yeah.
That idea of like,
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
there's gonna be this loud sound anyway, why not incorporate that into like the sound like a herd of animals running through? I really like that idea.
I was wondering, someone commented multiple times that they would like to see a mosaic. Is that something that works well in our climate?
There can be difficulties with mosaic because of the freeze thaw. There
Well,
are
that's my thought about
probably
it.
some methods, and we've had some mosaics hold up and we've had some not hold up. And with the vibration of the train, I would especially be a little bit worried under the train
Yeah,
about that. And I was I think with any lighting element would probably be restricted to under the train, so maybe
Yeah.
it's more appropriate for that. It's not that it couldn't happen, but we would have to really look at the places where it's worked and where it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Because it can just all that freeze thaw we have.
Yeah.
It's expansion, contraction, contraction.
Yeah.
But it's not, we wouldn't foreclose it.
well, and it's such a big canvas that it really can be a multimedia project. And I think it provides a lot of possibilities for playing around with the space.
So one of the things I also wanted to mention about the new Downtown Connection Center that we got to see in our little tour was at the end, the one end, you have actually a viewing platform, Laura, of that long wall of L1. And in fact, so from the DCC, you'll actually have a viewing platform on that end of the wall. So that is definitely a location that was pointed out in our tour of the DCC. So we'll make sure that you get to see that. Anybody else have comments? Laura, thank you. I know we're going to follow up with you more, with the survey results. We only, got them in on Monday. Last Monday was the deadline, so we were all pouring through them really quickly. But, we look forward to, meeting with you further.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. And Jana knows how to get a hold of me. So if anyone just wants to email me ideas or just more feedback, that'd be great.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, thank you.
Shanna, since you're driving the agenda today, where are we going?
Yes. We are going to H1 because Dave McIntyre is here and I'm going to move over.
Co-presenting with me. You want
Yeah.
I think we generally like to stand up there.
We kind of relax, we do a bunch of.
We'll do our best. I think we'll stand back here.
Interesting sound effect.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'll introduce the item, but I'm gonna recuse myself from any discussion about this item.
Awesome. I'm going to be recusing myself.
But we can stay, I think, and listen.
Yes,
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 we
we
just
decided
posted
anyway,
anyway.
that you may stay, because you might be needed to answer questions, but you can't join in the discussion.
Okay.
Okay?
And we also, this is publicly recorded anyways. So, anyway, item H1, Civic Space at the Downtown Connection Center, and Amy Hagan and Dave McIntyre.
Yes.
Ready. So we are here to have a little conversation about the civic space along near the DCC and south of the railroad tracks. Does everybody have a general idea of where we're talking about? You can see on the screen the general picture. We all know the DCC is going up right now. It is nearing completion. It is beautiful. And we are talking about the land that is to the east of that particular place on that same parcel, as you can see marked there. This does not need to be. So a little more orientation, you can see where the civic space will be, and you notice the DCC on the left, you will see the bus bays in the middle, the civic space on the right. To the north of that, in between the civic space and the railroad tracks, is going to be potentially a parking garage. It'll start as surface parking while you're on our way to get there. But that's part of how we're going to offset some of the losses of parking to the south side businesses. And one of the things that we've been sort of putting out there to folks, because we've heard comment in both directions,
I know,
visual
it's
is like,
bizarre because we're back here.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean in because it's
Don't look at yourself.
One of the things that we've heard in some of the previous presentations on this is we heard from some people, can you get rid of the civic space and have more parking? And from other people, we've heard, can you expand the civic space and get rid of the parking? And at this point, we've reached an IGA that brought a lot of conversation together previously, which kind of defines the spaces. And now it's a conversation about how do we get the parking structure designed and what are we going to do within those spaces, and less about the boundaries of where those are. I do want to acknowledge that the reason you have people recusing is that they've been hard at work as a part of this, and obviously North Design and Love and Contracting are a big part of this conversation. So yeah, I just like to throw that out there, that kind of the boundaries are set in the IGA currently, and it's more a question of like, where do we go? What are we doing as we move forward? And so we are in a bubble design phase. You can see here, we haven't quite got to the bubble design, but you can see actually how the Rio flag flows through. And that's helpful and important because much of where things go within the bubble diagram that you're about to see is dictated by what can and cannot go within the actual Rio flag space. And try to meet the needs of literally everybody in the whole community. As you all know, it's challenging. So easy.
So easy,
Right?
so easy.
But you can see the civic space will be more activated, and then there's a park space alongside, and Amy can jump in as we go.
Well,
Yes, go ahead.
go back there, if you will, for me,
Sure.
Dave. So one image that I think is interesting is there's a Downtown Connection Center civic space diagram, and then one of Heritage Square on the north side of the tracks, just of the brick pavered area, just to give you an idea of how much space. Thank you,
Heritage.
sir. This is how we operate.
DCC civic space.
Just to give you an idea of how much space that we're talking about for reference. And then what's added onto it is then this green park space. So the overall space does become a little bit larger than what we have today at Heritage Square, and there's a significant need for this, especially in our South Side community specific plan and just in downtown in general.
So some of the themes that we've heard as a part of this process are, because there has been a lot of community outreach, much starting back in 2020 and working its way forward. Were ideas like natural, fluid, kinetic. You can see some of the history, the train, the natural resources, the fact that there's buses and lumber, movement, modern, uplifting, celebratory. These are a lot of the themes that have been being worked through because of the conversation that we've had in the past. Want to add anything to that?
No, you're doing a great job.
Thanks so much. All right, so here's the bubble diagram, and we'll get into some of the specifics of each ones to make it easier to see, and then come back to the bubble diagram in a little bit. Ann Dunno from Outline is also here. So Ann, if you want to pop up here and add something, please feel free. You got to do it from up here. So no.
Well, I guess in general, from Mountain Lines, we're committed to partnering with the city to deliver civic space as part of our conditional use permit and our IGA with the city to develop the Downtown Connection Center. It was a requirement to build civic space. So again, going to what the civic space looks like, partnering, and we did do the public outreach that started back in 2020. The themes you saw, we actually had a public meeting January of 23 over at the Montoya Murdoch, thank you. Sorry, wrong center. That's really where these these features started kind of playing a theme, and then Norris was able to provide these documents. And I just want to add that, this is a federally funded project, the overall DC Downtown Connection Center. We have a Federal Transit Administration grant to provide civic space that allows for access to transit. So, hardscape, seating, those things, kind of sort of more natural park amenities. A little bit the areas we can't help with is art, which I think is obviously partly why, we have this wonderful new sculpture at the DCC, which was funded with the beautification funds, which has been fabulous, which we'll talk about in a moment. And the other piece of this is with the city is that long going, this would be operated and maintained by the city. Correct. I assume it's pros, but it is. So just a little bit more of like how we're trying to shape the partnership. And our goal was to get feedback from you all, committees, and eventually council to be able to go forward, with better certainty of what we're going to actually design 60%, so that we have good direction. So thanks.
This will be hitting a few different commissions. We also went to the DBA, and we'll be bringing it to council as well. And yeah, that will help inform this future piecing. So let's get into some of the detail, and we'll come back to the main one. Trees and planters. Amy, you want to talk this one?
Sure, you got it. So right now in our entire downtown network, there's roughly 277 trees. Don't ask how I know. Within tree wells, and that should be an urban tree, which has a lifespan. We have some tree types that are downtown that are probably not in that urban tree category. So sometimes that's when you'll see the heaving concrete, heaving curbs, heaving pavers, you name it. So an idea that generated from the public outreach that Ann mentioned were trees and planters. Is that a better way to demonstrate some trees in this civic space versus trees in a tree well backside of the curb? So great representation of that. And we've got a cool opportunity to do quite a few trees in this space, which would be neat. So that's the trees and planters proposal. Then we have, as long as Dave is good with the clicker, he is. So after the Rio de Flag project, that's that blue swash right there. Then there's an orange one on the screen. That's the Urban Trail connection. Currently, the Urban Trail, the Karen Cooper segment would be coming southbound. If you've ever ridden it, kind of dead ends and you bob and weave. So this creates that connection point to get you underneath the railroad tracks. So that's incorporated in here. The public art piece that Ann mentioned that this commission is very well aware of, that has been installed right now at the Downtown Connection Center itself, would be then in the future transplanted to this side of the space. So amazing piece of art. I'm sure everyone in this room has been able to go see that. Then this one makes some of the Parks and Rec folks giddy. Splash pad. We don't have a splash pad at all in our Parks and Recreation system at all. There's actually not even a free place for an individual to go cool off. And as our temperatures continue to rise, that needs gonna happen more frequently. There's free outdoor space, I should say. There's some free indoor spaces as a cooling center, but certainly not outdoor and involving water. So we've got proposed a splash pad, which brings a lot of cool benefits to it. I mean, a splash pad's inclusive. It can be a cooling center. It's an easy entertainment center, especially, I mean, I'll still be a kid, whenever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean,
So splash pad.
one thing that's come up in some of our other public comment and that we've actually talked about is we know that sometimes these can be a place where people get worried about certain behaviors, bathing, things like that, but they can actually be managed in a way that can be beneficial. Help that population to have some amenity, while at the same time, there's ways to mitigate some of the challenging behaviors around it. But we have heard and we know that that's something that would take some management.
Yes. Then we have a public restroom and or like mechanical. It's amazing until you start to work with public spaces, how often restrooms are the discussion point. Restrooms are just a regular need. So we're showing a public restroom. There's also some in the future front-facing public restrooms as part of the Downtown Connection Center. And then this one would be in addition, which we have at Heritage Square also.
And the rest of the structure would be a lot of the pumping materials for the splash pad and
Yeah.
mechanical room. I think it probably says itself, but just to throw it out there.
Yeah. This was another neat idea that came out through the outreach, some type of photography and or viewpoint. And gosh, a lot of people are using these smartphones and cameras, huh? So something, and there's some amazing views of our sacred peaks. So something that could be identified, or one of those landmarks that people know, where was that picture taken? Go get your picture taken here. So we have that proposed idea, and that's that celebrate theme that was coming out through the outreach.
And
Then we had that green space that was on our screen to the right of the civic space. That's our naturalized park space. So some of this area is in the floodway. Not much can be developed in a floodway. So what a great opportunity to provide some type of enhanced green space. That allows for us to have some of that nature that was talked about in the outreach, but still allows, if there are any flows, let them flow on through, kind of thing. So that'll be a nice piece of this. Food trucks, a food truck space. Some of our prior commission tour, there's been some feedback of, can you make that more food truck space? We don't have that in the city of Flagstaff. We certainly don't have that in a civic space or in our Parks and Recreation department, nor do we have it, say, in a parking lot, right? What we're seeing are private parking lots or private businesses inviting food trucks to come in, and they're spotty, they're here, they're there. So I think we have a unique opportunity to do this. I understand, say if I flip my hat around and I'm a downtown business owner of a restaurant or coffee shop or you name it, and I'm paying brick and mortar costs, ouch, food truck out there. But how can we figure out how to engage with that and complement it and ensure that the food trucks do complement any of the brick and mortar restaurants and or sales for that? So I think we have a great opportunity there since we don't have that anywhere.
I think there's actually some data that shows that if you have more food choices for different people, more come downtown. But we'll have some outreach and conversation to do around that particular question for sure.
Pop-up stage, that's where Dave and Amy, I guess we do our podcast. Pop-up stage and or concession. I mean, gosh, you could get an 8x8x20 train cargo, open the doors and whoa, all of a sudden we're selling Dave and Amy stickers or something. T-shirts, huge. We start throwing them. So that we have a great opportunity to have a pop-up stage and or concession or some other entertainment piece. And this shows it's in the pink there on the color image, but 2 potential locations for that. There's a need to program a space like this and to provide those different types of amenities. So I think this was a brilliant idea that came out of the outreach. It really could be multi-faceted.
And it is interesting, we heard comments like, why would you put a stage right where the train's going? But I think there is a level of theatrical space, a level of musicianship that could function in between trains, or that can actually incorporate some of the trains. And this was something that came up from the south side multiple times. This was definitely not something that came from staff, this came, or design. This was something that came up from some of the residents. So I think there's ways to do it. But we acknowledge
Big knowledge.
there is a certain incongruity.
Yeah. Doesn't like us.
I feel like I'm doing the same thing at once.
Big, thank you.
And so back to the full on.
Yeah.
You can see all the pieces in place. It's, as you can tell, a very activated civic space area, and then the beautiful greenery and the
Greenery Park, yeah.
So again, what we're doing here is helping to receive feedback, make sure that we get the impressions of all the folks, and then that'll be helpful as we move forward.
I'd also like to assure BPAC that the artist team will be on board to work with the design team in order to integrate the sculpture and obviously write all the instructions about how we're supposed to move it when that time comes. So, yeah, absolutely.
And the location shown here has already had a preliminary round of coordination with the artist team.
Yes.
And then Parks, Recreation, Open Space and Events Division committed, gosh, long time ago, along with Mountain Lion, that yes, when a space like this is developed, then our team will maintain it.
Any questions, anything from the folks in the room? Because usually we don't have quite this wealth of knowledge when we're doing this presentation. Anything that you want to make sure everybody's aware of?
Just as one question, what's gonna happen with splash pad space during non-splashing seasons?
Splash seasons. Great questions. Anne, I know wants, she's dying to answer this one. Because I'll naturally go, it's our second sheet of ice, but it won't be.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you actually, your idea was very interesting. I have to say, one of the components of this from Mountain Lion, and this kind of gets into the grant side, is we need to be able to use some of the space for snow storage. That's another reason. So when Mountain Lion clears all those 13 bus bays and even now the area in front of our new building, we have to push the snow somewhere. So one of the ideas was ideally, maybe it goes in the splash pad area. But all that has to be figured out if that can work. But maybe it ends up going to the floodway or I should say, the green space. That's set up, so, so that is, but yeah, it's a good question. And Amy, what was your idea for it?
It's not the most, it can be difficult to run mechanical items like that when you're talking about water in some of our really cold months. But with that mechanical room, we obviously we'll have a bathroom open year round. We'll insulate, wrap the pipes. So it just may be something that, I don't know, like, how do we make it something that's different? Even if it's just maybe 2-3 months out of the year that it's something different besides a splash pad. Because there's certainly unseasonable days in March all the way around to December.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've got some creativity that can occur there to ensure that we're still using that space effectively in those colder months.
Even so, I think the splash pad is a great thing for tourists along those lines.
It is great to sit by, grab a bite from a food truck or nearby restaurant. Great, again, I'd play in it, so great. I don't even say kids. It's a great human play area.
I gotta say, I was lucky enough to be in France, but it happened to be a real heat wave. And there was a splash pad out there and it was huge. I feel like the entire community was there. And there were ice cream vendors and there was, various stuff going on. And I definitely got wet because it was roasting and there was no AC anywhere. It really is in terms of like cooling and climate. Not only is it super fun, but very helpful.
I just have a point of order that I have to make. I know we have some commentary going in the chat and, Commissioner Cruz, I would first ask you to just raise your hand and speak up if possible. And any other person who's not a commissioner and who hasn't signed up for public comment, we cannot take your comment at this time or address it. So we didn't hear from any members of the public that they wanted to make any points for this meeting. And so with apologies, we cannot, consider those comments in the chat or read them.
Right.
And just one, Mary is part of the design team.
Oh, she's part of the design team.
Yes.
Oh, my
So,
apologies.
Yes.
I wasn't, okay. All right.
Maybe,
She's the-
yeah.
Okay, then that's different. She, as part of the team presenting, she is allowed to make comments, but it would be better if we just actually verbally made them instead of adding to the chat.
I think I see her hand.
Yes, Mary, thank you.
Hi, sorry, I am not following the rules properly. Just wanted to add to the presentation about the raised planters for the trees. And a lot of that is driven by the fact that we want to have shade, but we also have a lot of restrictions underground. And so bringing the trees up out of the ground and detailing them so that they are movable with the right type of equipment will allow us greater design latitude to have more trees because we are so restricted on trying to get them into the ground with all the utilities running through here. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Does the future parking structure, does that take away bus bays when it gets built?
No, it's actually meant to go up and over.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we haven't fully designed it and engineered it. We did talk to engineering enough to know they said they can do it, which is a good start. There's still a little room to figure out how it all works, but the idea is that it would actually go up and have a broader top than a bottom, and so come over some of that space. I'm not sure how it fits with the mountain view. We're gonna have to look at how that'll work, but
We'll make it work.
yeah, I'm sure. It's
How would that parking structure be?
I mean, I doubt we'd go more than 2 stories at that spot, but we haven't designed it, so I can't speak.
I was just wondering how it would, like, potential to tower over the civic space right there. But not at 2 stories would probably be okay, but otherwise, if it was any bigger.
Yeah, I don't, it's not meant to degrade the civic space, so we'd be obviously taking that, that's a great comment, and we'd be taking that into account as a part of it.
And it looks like there is still a net gain in parking.
There could be, there can be, we hope there will be.
No.
We think so, it will depend once we get into the actual engineering. I think we replaced many of the spaces with the surface lot, and the garage should get us the rest of the way.
No.
So, yeah. But you do, I mean, it is interesting. One of the fun parts is always trying to balance all the different needs. And it is literally in the 2 presentations that happened prior to this one. One said shrink the civic space for more parking. The other said get rid of the parking, add more civic space. And, at this point, I think what we're trying to do is make the most of the 2 geographic spaces. Do everything we possibly can with the civic space and the boundary that it's in, and then get as much parking as we can without disturbing it.
I'm amazed at how much you're able to fit into this space. I think this is, y'all deserve for the effort you put into this. I think.
I get no credit for that whatsoever. I
Me
speak well
neither.
about it. I think so.
I think so.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's an exciting project.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, and Jana, what is our next agenda?
We're gonna do the beautification and action grants. Go get our first presenter.
Thank you, Ann.
Bye, everybody.
Do you want me to step out? Do you want me to step out of the room when Amanda says?
Yes, so you don't have to step out, just maybe take a seat back here and
Okay.
comment. Then we find it. That's not us.
Yeah, the mouse is so hard to move from, I don't know why, but I think when it's on the TV, it's kind of
Sorry, didn't resume. Right up to name, I was like, yeah, that's. Aw. Don't need this flaw. All right. You set my timer. All right, well, sorry for the +1 when you're married to a wildland firefighter. You think you have childcare, you don't. They're far away. So can I just hop in? All right. All right, so good evening, everybody. My name is Melissa Ekstrom. I'm the Executive Director of Willow Bend Environmental Education Center. Hopefully everyone in here has heard of Willow Bend before, but if not, we are a 501c3 nonprofit doing environmental education, serving all of Coconino County, anything from classroom programs to field trips to community programs at our center and lots more. And I'm excited to present our beautification and action and grant proposal tonight, which is called Willow Bend Reflection and Creativity Area. You can go to the next slide. Is someone changing slides for me? Yeah. Oh, thank you. So just project overview. Really in a nutshell, this is transforming an outdoor space into a peaceful area for reflection and creativity through nature. Working on stuff. All right, here you go. We are asking for the full 7,500. And this, our center, if you've never been there, is in Elizabeth Liz C. Archuleta County Park. Is recently renamed. You may know it as Sawmill Park. All right, really cruising through my 5 minutes there. Our partners are Parks and Rec, Coconino County, NAU Capstone Group, and not listed is Friends of Willow Bend Gardens. All right, so the why. Why do we want to do this? We want to create a peaceful, sustainable place where people can connect with nature, spark creativity, and feel a sense of community. You can go to the next slide. And then these are the key features of, you know, what we envision. This is my like amateur rendering. So if you look, it looks a little dark on the screen, but there's 2 benches, some scattered planters, and it kind of cuts it off, but there's 2 Adirondack chairs to the side of that planter in the corner. And then there's a little rolling cart, which is really like a kitchen island cart. Think of that. That would be outside the center when we are there to have free activities for the community. And then, of course, as part of celebrating this grant project, if we were to be funded, we want to have a public open house to kind of launch and celebrate and go hooray. Next slide, please. All right, everyone loves a budget. Oh, maybe not. So I actually wanted to, if you look this beautiful picture here, I wanted to put what the benches that we have out there now. They are wooden, they are painted, and sure, like we love painted wooden benches, but they are hard to maintain in this climate if you're not bringing them in. We have strong UV rays, we have snow, we have monsoon rain. So you can see like this is not how we want to present ourselves, but it's kind of what we have going on right now. So we would like to have some metal benches, and you know, as you can see, they are quite expensive, but you get what you pay for, right? So we're hoping these can last decades. Also the Adirondack chairs, you can see, are expensive. Those are like that Trex material that you see made of, you know, decks and benches. Also long lasting, it's recycled plastic. So we're just thinking, you know, long term. And then all the other things are a little bit minor compared to that. The activity cart, the planters, the soil, kind of a little boost in the activity stuff, native plants. But when you look at it in kind, we actually have a lot of materials on hand. And we have like hundreds of programs. So I know that we will have so many things to stack into that cart. Actually, even if we're not funded, I'm looking forward to doing this anyway. Just getting, you know, going through our supply closet and dispersing it out into stuff that can be made. And then Coconino County Parks and Rec actually installing the benches, you know, up to their code, making sure they're into the ground is a, you know, a huge in-kind match for us. So we really appreciate that. And so one of our questions was why Adirondack chairs? And that was
because we have a pair on the opposite side of the garden and they're well loved. So if the commission recommended a different type of chair that, you know, feels more accessible, we'd definitely be open to it, or maybe a different bench. All right, next slide. I think it's 30 seconds. All right, our benches are adorable. Our native plants will take care of themselves and just need a little bit of water once they get established. So that's what we're really going for, long-term impact with this funding. The activity cart can be used year-round. One of our questions was staffed hours. Since the pandemic, we haven't had like reset. We're a very small staff. Like we're here 8 to 5, but we would have it outside at least 20 hours a week. And we actually have a survey right now through Creative Flagstaff to survey the community to see what open hours we can do, and that's 5 minutes. Just that I wanted to add a QR code, and I wanted to make sure I answered any of your questions. So
Good news is that's not.
oh, great. I do try to stay on the 5 minutes for everyone.
Way to power through.
Yes.
Did anyone have any questions?
Do you have any other seating currently that is accessible for people with mobility issues?
I don't know the whole, we have benches everywhere, and I feel like that's a priority of the county park, so I want to say yes, but I'm not like 100% sure. But when we sit down and do all these things, they're at the table too, so we try to, you know, I hope so. Yeah, when I picture them, I think they're all wheelchair accessible, and our path itself is ADA accessible.
I was gonna follow up.
Benches are with the handrest, and then they have a space for feet, and as long as you have space next to it for mobility aids, I think that works pretty well. And then I was the Adirondack chair commenter. So
Yeah.
I'm revealing myself. But yeah, yeah, it's nice. The context of knowing that you have some that are really well loved and adding more makes a lot of sense. And I think that specifically you can leave about 3 feet in between the benches. That's like the ideal number for folks for accessibility. There's a little room there. Yeah, that'd be great.
I know the county will make sure we're doing it all right when we install all these new furniture.
Yes, they will.
They do have some of us you're working with.
It was an environmental class with Rosemary and Logan. I don't know the exact long title. So, you know, we worked with them regardless if we were gonna get the grant or not, because they wanted a project. So they actually made painted ammo cases or cans with activities inside that kind of complement the cart. So they have themes to them. Yeah.
Nice.
And is it publicly accessible year round?
The cart or the cans?
The space.
Oh, the park is public, yes. Our center's not always open because we're a 3-person staff, but hopefully with this survey, we will set our new
But
open
would
hours.
we be putting the cart outside in the winter?
Yes, yeah. Because especially, you know, you can see we don't have snow on the ground all winter long. So if we're there, I feel comfortable putting the cart out.
Anybody else have questions? And we're not making any decisions until we go through all the presentations, correct? Correct. Yeah, correct. Okay. Well, then that's, if nobody else has any other questions, that's great.
Great, well, thank you so much. Sorry for the chaos, but maybe more chaos for me than you.
We understand.
All right.
I've got the same head. You earned your iPad set. It's got a very
And
specific.
of course, the environmental educator is like, has a tablet child right now. I wish I could stay and watch all the other meetings.
Oh, no, I feel like.
Good choice.
Okay, so you're somewhat of a loser.
That's why I forgot that I had a blur. And I'm kind of waiting for this stuff every time. In 1 minute.
Thank you.
Well, while we're waiting, this, do I click in order to change?
Annalise is
mine?
gonna set up your
okay, beautiful,
PowerPoint,
thank
and
you.
then
But yes, please.
While we're waiting, my name is Crystal Estrada. I am a police dispatcher and I dispatch for fire and medics for Coconino County. So I'll be going to work here, serving you all at 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. tonight. I appreciate you being with me for the moment before I start my shift, though. This is a great way to start my day. I live in Sunnyside. I've been a homeowner on Isabel Street since 2019.
And I really love and cherish the community, and there is a way that I can help my community by transforming the Sego Lily Trailhead. When I heard about this BIA presentation, I wanted to jump in and be a part of enhancing our community. So what we're looking at is, oh, I'm sorry. A little bit of a delay.
Sensitive, we noticed.
Is it, do I go down for next?
I went down.
Okay.
And that worked.
Yeah, okay, beautiful. So this is the area we're looking at. This is just a screenshot from a cell phone. 6th Avenue and Isabel Street is one of the entrances of the Sego Lily Trailhead. You can kind of see it peering off to the west there. A lot of people, especially those who live in Sunnyside, use this entrance as a way to access the trail system up into the mesa, which we are so glad that they maintained that and preserved that area. This is currently what it looks like. This photo is just a couple of weeks old. As you can see, it's somewhat disheveled. There's not a lot going on. There's the 2 boulders there. You can see off to the left, there's a little trail that some people cut across. And then the big hill going along the back is just nothing really. Once again, that area of dirt, people kind of hike up that way as well if they choose to. What we're looking to do is just enhance it in a beautiful way. So why? During monsoon season, the hillside pours dirt onto the sidewalk, making it muddy and difficult for trail goers to enjoy their hike, bike, or walk. If you've ever experienced that, it's concrete that goes down, and all of that hillside, which is barren, just creates a huge muddy mess for people to want to continue to enjoy that trail entrance. So also, in addition, especially as 911 dispatcher, taking these calls for safety, barren hillside in the winter months leaves people to utilize it for snow play. Honestly, the whole mesa people kind of go around, but that is an especially busy 3-way intersection from 6th Isabel. You've got the schools there where people will, since it's a really nice steep hill, use snow sleds and go down it. If there's bushes and vegetation there, they'll be less likely to do so, which I think adds a safety element to it. More native plants, less native invasive weeds, and I really amped when I started seeing those Monarch Pledge little signs going up. I was like, let's do it. Like, let's go. How can I be a part of it? You know, obviously in our own gardens, but why not in our community for the bugs and the birds? Here are the 3 main plants that I would like to incorporate. Rabbit brush does amazingly well. If you see the old Isabel garden, it's there and it's flourishing even with no attendance to that garden. Cliff Rose is another great and beautiful pollinator. And then the top one is a evening primrose. So Sylvia Struss, I've been working with her. She's in open space. I'm sure some of you are very familiar with her. She came and viewed the site with me in person and told me that has an extremely long tap root, which will help with the degradation of the soil. So incorporating that along the hillside is a really good thing. And it grows, it's volunteered in my backyard without any work. So it will do well as well. Additional wildflowers, if there's money left over, blanket flower, Bridges penstemon, blue flax, Rocky Mountain penstemon, and Mexican hat, depending on availability here. These are photos of the ones just mentioned. Those are all different options that can kind of fill in the hillside. Additional materials, riprap, which will be provided from the city of Flagstaff, as well as soil. And then I have materials as far as shovels. This is a brief map of where some of these plants will go. The riprap rock along that other hillside, some wildflowers in front of this sign, which will be filled soon. Rabbit brush, cliff rose along that other hillside. And I'll be working with Sylvia Struss, City of Flagstaff. I chose those 3 nurseries because they're all local and they have the good stuff. So that's what I like to work with. I will take a paint bucket and water the areas until they're established. These are all native plants. They eventually will do great on their own and reseed and flourish after they're established. Me personally, my home was built in 1950. I have one faucet for my entire yard, and I asked for, which was cheesy to my husband, but I asked for a new 100-foot hose for my Mother's Day gift. Not cheesy. I was the owner of several hundred. Okay. I intend to take just classic paint buckets. I have a truck, an old Ford truck, and I will fill up paint buckets and carry them over. I live a few blocks away from the site.
As a person who off the water. Public space. I would strongly suggest you get a card. Or something as part of this.
Oh, okay.
Just, what do you mean? Just anything that you can roll stuff over there.
Oh, like a manual cart. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
something where you can drag your water supply literally to the plant. Even just hauling buckets from a truck up that hill is gonna become onerous after the first few times.
Right.
And in order to maintain consistency in your watering, which is really difficult if monsoons are slow to come.
Right.
I was there last year. It got a little rough. I was very grateful for the cart. So anyway, just food for thought.
Okay.
But other than that, I really like your plant selections. I think those are great. I'm curious to see if you can get cliff rows to establish.
Yeah, I've never worked with it.
But that one is really interesting because it's a really amazing plant. And I have found personally that it can be a little hard to establish.
You know where I see it? Safeway parking lot, Safeway Cedar. And I really just looked around in that almost mile area.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's all over on the stretch just below the church at the top of Fourth Street.
Mhm.
There's an incredible forest of it right there. It's really beautiful and it smells so good when it goes. But I'm just curious. Honestly, I'm gonna copy you if you get it to go.
What's your name? I can email you.
I will get you up. But I love the rabbit bush in particular. So it will seed itself across that space. Claire is the real expert here, but that's my.
I was really happy. Thank you for the additional detail you included in
Yes.
your presentation. It answered the questions I think we had coming out of the initial review. So
Oh,
I
okay.
really appreciate that effort.
Yeah.
I was excited about your plant selection. I think it's great. And the area you're trying to do seems really reasonable. That was really clear from the photos and I think could be done with hand watering. Is someone from the city gonna help you do the riprap? How's that going?
So when I met with Sylvia Struss in person at the site, she mentioned that she could help me coordinate that from the city, not only the riprap, but the soil. And she mentioned a gentleman's name. Honestly, I can't recall now because it was last month. I don't know. And I almost think it was water or sewer, like something like that.
And that's time for questions, by the way.
Oh, is it time?
Do we
I
wanna,
have one more note that I think is really
do we wanna take a vote to add, we can add 2 minutes, right?
Yes, you can have 2 minutes.
Okay, I'd like to take is everybody in favor of that? Anyone against? Okay, you have 2 more minutes of questions.
Thank you. My main one is to coordinate with 811 for utilities before you start digging up there.
Okay.
Because the parks, any public space, you just don't know.
Right, and there's a big power line going along 6th Street, or 6th Ave, so. That makes sense. Thank you.
Alrighty. If there are no other questions, I think that's fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great evening and I don't have to hear from you. Okay, thank you.
Is Dr. Christie here?
Thank you.
No, Dr. Christie? He's very quiet. Actually, there's no one waiting outside really quick.
Well, he's in the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Or, no, he's not in the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he is not in the meeting anymore.
Need to ask him when he goes. That was a good corner.
Is red sage a local plant? Is red sage a local? Because I've heard it's a great
Here, so we can move on to Downtown Business Alliance.
I think he's supposed to be first and foundation first.
I have DBA first and then foundation.
Right ahead then.
Just getting investors, no input. Once your presentation is on the screen, you can get going.
Sounds good.
Sorry, my mouse isn't wanting to click. Just one moment, please.
Okay, I feel like I know most of you already in this room, but for those of you who don't, I'm Manny, I'm with the Downtown Business Alliance. And I try to do everything to activate downtown, make it beautiful, add events. As most of you know, downtown is the biggest driver of tourists in Flagstaff, according to Discover Flagstaff, as well as a huge source for BBB funds. So I love to do all things downtown. So our mural, or I would love to propose a mural. The total will be $7,500. The artist payment would be $3,250, and other expenses, including all the materials, would be $4,250. If this would be approved, we would put out a call to artists through all of our social media as well as email lists. We have a subscriber list of over 60,000, and we've done these applications in the past and had very good results. The last one was for the wrap at Lumberyard Brewery. If you've seen that, their big electrical cabinet out front, we got that wrapped last year. I think we had 14 submissions. So it has gone really well in the past. We've also done the LaRue Alley right north of Heritage Square, that big cabinet with all the crows on it. So that's how we would source our artists. So here's a location of the wall. It is in the alley that is in between Route 66, Aspen, San Francisco, and W.C. Riles. So this is the alley that connects all the businesses, AC Music Pro, Mardan's, Plante, to Aspen, as well as the Symphony Orchestra offices are back in that alley as well. And it serves as a connector between all of these businesses and the greater downtown area. This alley right now is looking pretty dingy if you've walked through there, and it could use some extra life breathed into it. So here's a mock-up of what something could look like. It would go to the artist, obviously, when we put out the call to artists, but it's just a visual representation of something that we could do. And I think it would just add some pop and serve an area that gets a lot of foot traffic, but otherwise doesn't look all that great. And I believe that's the end of my presentation. I'll go ahead and take any questions.
Do you have any questions? Yeah, I do not.
Awesome. Thank you some time.
Thank you. Next, we have Downtown Flagstaff Foundation.
Hello, I've met quite a few of you. I'm Hunter. I'm the director for the Downtown Business Alliance and the president of the Downtown Flagstaff Foundation. I'm here to talk to you about traffic signal box art, something that you guys are pretty familiar with. I know you've taken on a handful of these projects as the BPAC. So I want to talk to you about the power of incremental investments and incremental improvements. And so most recently, we've done this sort of improvement at the corner of San Francisco and Aspen here in front of what's now Urban Pine, a long time to be a bit. With some of our city partners, we were able to remove these benches here that were around that tree and then in front of the business, and then relocate that trash can to the opposite side of the corner, well, diagonal from there on San Francisco Street. So by freeing up that space, we're able to make this seating area here, which is been a pretty big hit. It's only been installed there for about 3 weeks, but repurposing the materials that were once clogging up the street on San Francisco and making a more enjoyable seating area has kind of inspired has actually inspired, not kind of inspired the owners of Urban Pine to invest further in that space. And so they've added some planters here to that space, and they've even kind of planted the tree well. You know, not holding permission or any of you guys permission, but a little road planting there. But I think that kind of thing is important. And if you give people that sort of empowerment, they'll take advantage of it, and they want that space to be beautiful. And they are the caretakers and mayors of that space. So it's a pretty powerful tool. And so what you'll notice there is that large green box that's like right in their seating area, right? And so I know that in the past we've done projects like this, and so I want to ask for these 3 locations to be considered here. Aspen gets a ton of pedestrian foot traffic. These boxes are kind of just painted green like everything else. I don't know if we call it municipal green or downtown green, but people call it go away green in other places because it kind of just fades to the back, right? It's not a showpiece. And I think these have the opportunity to be a showpiece. And like I said, it's something we've done in the past. It's something that lots of people have done with success. These are just some examples. Certain bright, punchy colors, maybe something that tells a story about local culture, something that ties into something we think is important, maybe something that's just abstract and beautiful. You know, there's lots of opportunity there. And I think they would be very well received by the local businesses and would get a ton of people looking at them, right? Because they're right on very major intersections, and would be a huge asset to us now downtown as we work to beautify and make a more vibrant downtown. That's what we do every day. So thanks, guys. If you have any questions, it's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, I think I have the numbers written down and how much it costs. It is asking for $5,130 total. $3,000 of that would be the artist payments, so $1,000 per box to the artist, and then $2,130 is the price for installation from Film Tech. Any questions?
And we're already secure about the permissions needed to put something on those.
Yeah, we've talked about public works and false and
Oh. How are you?
You're an artist, open call. Sorry, I didn't cover that.
Sorry, I made that same assumption.
Yeah, I kind of had a hard time deciding what to present on as it was all in the application. So I was like, it's pretty straightforward. You've done this kind of work before, and we've done this kind of work before, as Manny mentioned. We've done 2 of these projects. So following those standards have already been set, and the call to artists, I think we're well capable of doing this. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next presenter is virtual. It's going to be Amanda Black. We're just pulling up your presentation, Amanda, and
Sounds good.
there we go.
Great.
Okay, go ahead and get started. Thank you. Mr. McIntyre.
All right. Well, good evening. I'm Amanda Black. I am the board president for Culture Connection AZ. We're a Flagstaff-based nonprofit with a strong history of public arts programming rooted in equity, education, and cultural storytelling. If you could go to the next slide. Our upcoming project is called From Artemis to Zoria, the role of the feminine divine throughout history. It will be a public art exhibition that responds directly to the needs recently identified in the city's art, culture, and science sector survey, especially the need for more inclusive programming, flexible venues, and temporary public art that reaches diverse communities. But more than that, it directly supports the grant's goals by transforming underutilized indoor urban space into vibrant public art experience. If you could go to the next slide. The plan is for the exhibition to span 2 accessible, no-cost venues. The first will be the Ice House downtown, and then the other will be the Literacy Center on the east side. By activating these 2 indoor community spaces for 2 full months, We hope that will provide a temporary but impactful gathering place, exactly the kind of intervention that the city has recently highlighted as a priority. Next slide, please. Here are a couple pictures of recent and past artist markets that Culture Connection has done. We have a pretty strong track record of drawing hundreds of people to our free inclusive events. This exhibition that I'm discussing today will take place on September's first Friday. It'll feature live performances by local groups like Flag Shakes, Flagstaff Fire and Flow, and Monumental Aerial, who will bring mythological feminine figures to life through spoken word, fire, and movement. Next slide, please. Here are some photos of our past performances that we've had in our indoor space. Excuse me. The visual artists will retain 100% of the profits from any artwork that they sell. The performing artists will be compensated from grant funds. They will also benefit from extended high visibility exposure in well-trafficked venues, both on the east side and downtown, which supports cultural equity and economic opportunity, particularly for artists who may not typically have access to gallery space or can't afford gallery space, since it will be free of charge for them. To further increase the access and the public reach, we would like to hire videographers who can document the performances, capture the exhibition. We would post that online so that we could expand to audience members who are homebound or live outside of Flagstaff or who are otherwise unable to attend. This is another way that we'd like to meet the call for more inclusive, accessible public art. And then it'll also make the project a longer lasting contribution to Flagstaff's public art archive. Next slide, please. The project reflects key findings that we identified in the city's recent cultural survey. It is temporary art. It's in a flexible venue, 2 flexible venues. It enhances collaboration between nonprofits, artists, and performers. It increases visibility and inclusion for artists from diverse backgrounds, encourage community gathering, dialogues across traditions, and visibility for underrepresented artists, as well as stories, all while beautifying and activating the city's public space. And then last slide. From Artemis to Zoria will be accessible, visible, community rooted, public art that this grant is designed to support. We believe that it'll be a great contribution and it'll be a very exciting first Friday event. And the last slide just says thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, any questions?
Yeah, before we jump into the questions for the artists, can I clarify, Jana? I know we had some challenges with the marketed premiums application a while ago. Because it was inside of the space and there's some questions about an access. Do we have any access issues with this one?
No, we do not have any access issues with this one because again, it's temporary.
Okay.
Which is different, so it by its nature is time limited. And as long as it's completely open to the public during the time frame of the temporary, then it's okay.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
We did clarify it with the attorney.
I figured you had done that already, but
Yes.
thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yeah, that was my primary question.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we're making good time. Sky Black, we're ready for your presentation now.
Hello, I'm a local artist, Sky Black. Yeah, I recognize some of you. This latest project would be a collaboration between myself and Joe Soren, who's here with me. We've had an idea like this for a while. Joe was a bit of a mentor towards me, my artwork, and so our latest project here is to team up with the Western Post downtown, which is in the Flag Group Courtyard area, and to do a new piece of artwork for the downtown collection.
Yeah, the sign right now is it's falling apart. It needs something.
Yeah, so in the proposal, it's a replacement project for the deteriorating artwork that's currently on the wall. as you see here. So we would be just replacing that image right there that's falling apart with the new artwork. And the cool thing about this project is that we'd be painting it on a mural panel, which is removable. It has a really smooth surface. It's more durable than traditional mural painting. And it would be mounted onto the wall after we paint it in a studio. So it would be basically the benefit of it is that you're able to achieve a much higher quality of artwork on the painting. So it'd be basically a piece of fine art.
And without having the scaffold in there for weeks.
Yeah, you're not in the way, you're not blocking any public access at all. Anytime, it's just a day of installation. New piece of fine art, which is nice because most buildings will have texture. We've experienced this on the Orpheum with the amount of texture that was there. And of course, that was 2 full summers painting full time with 3 artists. And we were only allowed to achieve as much detail in that painting as the wall would really allow us. The second half is obviously a much smoother part of the wall, as that part of the building was much younger on the Orpheum. I've done several murals with this style so far, doing it on metal sign panels. So I buy the sign panels from Signorama, and it's a 1/4 inch sheet of metal. And we prep it and prime it, and it's basically a canvas you can paint. You're able to really achieve a piece of gallery that would be introduced into the public art. So it's kind of a different type of mural, different approach. Slide if you want. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's going to be a collaboration between Joe and myself. Joe, obviously, you recognize his work on the Diablo mural in the square. And then just being the legendary painter that he is, he's got, or should I say world renowned. So it'd really be a dream come true to collaborate with them. We've never done a project like that together. There's a lot of vision here. I think it would be a really part. So the next thing, that one's about Joe, and this one's more about me. And you can see how the impact of public art. You can see how the Orpheum looked beforehand, and that was after we had prepped it quite a bit. So it looked even worse. So you can just see the really major impact that it has. That wall. Not that wall that we're proposing here would have this problem, but that wall that rarely gets tagged, whereas it used to get tagged almost monthly before we did the murals. So there's kind of a respect between the more public art, the better. That mural in the bottom right corner there is another panel mural. So that's 4 different segments to create a 16 by 12 foot mural. So those are all done. The detail, you can't see that clearly, but it's very smooth, so you're just able to really achieve a studio product.
And hung where?
Those are with the Snow Mountain River sports store in town. And there's several, I think there's 5 or 6 of those murals I've done for them, all on these panels. And the cool thing is when they moved their business from Milton to Fortree, they were able to take all the murals with them. So that's a benefit in the downtown historic footprint as well, because it is removable if the Western Post chose to do it. For any reason, we had to take it down. So yeah, that almost wraps it up. Take any questions you have. Here's the budget obviously is outlined here. Artist fee would be the amount limited there, and the rest goes to paint supplies and installation and all the equipment that will be needed.
I do have a quick question, which is, what happens, is the mural attached to the business or to the building?
Will it be attached to the building physically?
Well, not physically.
No, it would be attached to the business.
So if the business moves, the mural moves?
So if the business moved the mural.
But then the mural also belongs to the public art collection?
I guess that would be
That's my
I
question.
mean, he's got I think his lease is over 10 years in that building.
Sure, I just have a question about what's the,
And if you had a preference that the mural would stay there as a permanent piece, even if the
I'm just curious.
business moved, that's something we could consider. We haven't really talked detail too much about
That's a
it.
good detail though.
Yes.
If he does, we could say up front, if you move, we'd like to leave this here and we could do another sign on this new place.
Yeah.
With any of our beautification and action grants on private property, they have to.
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
That's the truth.
But it's gonna be treated
Yeah.
for the space, you know, not for a beer shop.
Yeah.
But handled for the space.
That's super cool. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that is true, because, yeah, we're aware of that with the orphan, because at that point, he sold the building, we never had an agreement that he wouldn't be paying it over. Right. There would be some outrage, I'm sure, but.
That would be tragic.
Yeah. So I don't think that'll happen, that was, you know, something we were aware of when we signed up for that.
Do you have any idea of your topic?
The concept? Yeah, we talked to Dave, the business owner, and the building owner, and they were both pretty open to letting Joe and I just form a collaboration piece of art.
Yeah, you just said you do you.
Yeah.
The mural I did on the Diablo Burger, I went into that with no plan, just started one day and it kind of evolved. That's kind of what we're looking to do with this.
Yeah, I know that's be taking, I wouldn't call it a risk with that, but just because of the resume with Joe and I think it would be a really successful piece. And it would obviously be rated G and, you know, public art rated. So, but it'd be really interesting to look at. And a cool, really fun collaboration. Joe's style, which he kind of taught me, is that free flow. I'll go to visit Joe's studio and he'll have no sketchbooks and sometimes no plan except what happens with the paint.
Yeah,
and it's a really interesting way to approach artwork. Sometimes I do it that way. Sometimes I like a lot more planned out. So I feel like that collaboration would be something pretty nice and special. Yeah. That's it. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Diane Henry.
You are right there.
Here I am. Oh, here's your flash drive back, by the way.
Okay, thank you. You're recording. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. You're so pretty. You guys need to stand up and stretch a little. I know, you can. Stand up a little bit. And we'll see what we're not.
Here, that's helpful.
Okay. Okay. So, well, good evening and thank you all for being here. I know it's a long day and we really appreciate you. My name is Diana Henry and I am an open space steward for open space for Flagstaff, including Picture Canyon, as well as a member of the open space working group, which used to be the Picture Canyon Working Group. Some of you might already know Jack Welsh, who was a hero among us. And if you don't, this is a picture of him at City Hall where he came many a times to protect staff. One of the things that, of course, he loved was Picture Canyon. And having worked with him in the education committee, he also loved the natives and felt that there was a big need to support the natives. He worked at I want to say Walnut Canyon, but it's Bukkake. And so that said, I'm here today. Dwayne Koyawina, the artist, could not make it today, but I am here with Jane Jackson, who is one who spearheaded the renaming of the bridge at Picture Canyon that got approved. Thank you very much last week at City Council. And now I'm here to talk about some artwork that we would like to add to that in Jack Welsh's honor. I'm also here with a representative of Open Space who is supporting us, a volunteer, Cole, as well as my neighbor, Sandy Carrick, who is a nature support over at the Arboretum and also a lover of native work. So let's see, I'm hitting the wrong button. Let's see. Oh. Yes, so I don't know if you already did a Indigenous people acknowledgement, but I'd like to do that. We celebrate the Indigenous people of this continent who cared for these lands long before we came among them.
We are blessed as they have endured, for we have much to learn from them. We respect this land as their homeland and their very being. We honor their presence with us here and now. And this land acknowledgement was co-written by several Indigenous friends, Hopi and Dene, as well as Toda Odom. And this is a picture at Picture Canyon. Is there anyone here who has not been to Picture Canyon? Okay, well, good. Then we will bring you, come and we will show you all the wonderful things that are at Picture Canyon. And one of the reasons it's called Picture Canyon is that there are around 700 pictures, or what we call art images, rock images made by the native people over 800 to 1,000 years ago there. Yes, and we will take you. Oh, I think I'm going backwards. There we go. And this is a picture of the bridge that has been renamed the Jack Welch Memorial Bridge, and where the artwork is proposed to be placed. Referring back to just the previous speaker, the same idea is that it will not be put directly on the bridge, but it will also be placed on a plaque that we will affix to the bridge, so that if and when this bridge is replaced, we can remove it and put it on the new bridge. And it will be owned by open space. This is an open space project. We received several letters of support. You'll recognize some of these names, including many Indigenous people, including a Dene friend who sent a letter saying, and I'll just quickly say, they helped it become a monument to the ancients and ancestors whose bones, blood, and sacred objects are deeply embedded in this land, including Jack Welch, as well as our Hopi friend, Marilyn Fredericks, who is an elder at Hopi, and we gave her support as well for this work. Here's some of Dwayne Koyawina's work. Some of you know of him. This is at the Murdoch Community Center. This is at the next to Chocolita on Steve's Boulevard. And here at the new Dawawaki Inn in Clarkdale near Cottonwood. So I am not introducing my great friend Dwayne Koyawina here.
And that's time. I have to cut you off there.
Okay.
Now we're moving into the Q&A section. Yeah, did anybody have any questions about this one?
I seem to recall the last time we discussed this, there was a question about the material that artwork would be painted on and the durability.
Right. So these are some of the questions I'm trying to answer. We're using special treated weather resistant plywood painted with the same paint as it is presently used on the bridge. There'll be a primed 1/8 inch steel sheet affixed to the plywood, like the artwork at Chocolita and for the Juvenile Detention Center. The thick exterior house paint used is made to withhold UV rays and wetness from all the weather. And what is some of the protection? The material for the sign, the actual metal piece, is the same that we see on highways. And currently, the Picture Canyon Natural and Cultural Preserve signs that are along Old Route 66. And there was concern about the placement of it, and we've looked at various ways. And this will be the same as the signs that you would see on trails, except that instead of being on the ground, it will be affixed to the bridge.
We do have to not go through the whole presentation.
No,
unfortunately, unless we
it's
have
an
an
answer.
answer. Okay.
They're all related to.
Yeah, they are. They are. Okay, I just want to make sure we were going to continue.
Yeah.
Unless we voted, because we can vote if anybody would like to vote for more presentation time or. more
Oh,
question
okay.
time. But I feel like the answers are pretty well there.
Okay, great.
Does anybody else have any questions?
And that corner, remind me that he hasn't finished designing that one corner or.
Right, so what happened was originally the Jack Welch Memorial plaque was
Okay,
going to be
that's what-
part of the
yeah.
painting, but then it was decided that that would be a separate piece not on the bridge, just next to the bridge. And so he's gonna finish the whole thing. He has access to doing the whole thing, and the corner will be just an extension.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
See, anything else for anybody? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Dr. Christie Jones? Dr. Christie, no.
No. Maybe it's.
I did have at the very end, you. You have a thank you slide. Here it is. There it is. There you go. Robin Wallace, so fast, yeah.
You guys want to go through the grants first and then do Russell? Is the one that you hear about Russell?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Amy. All right. So Russell. Thank you.
Leon Murdoch Park sculpture. You know, this item's again been before you a few times. Back in October 2023, we had the whole project overview. I think I presented the 5 finalists. And then last July, you guys approved the preliminary design from Beth Nyback. As you know, as we went on, we had some comments from the community, one of the selection panel members, and we had some initial meetings at the Southside Community Association, and they weren't, really quite sure whether Beth's idea was really going to resonate, with the new Cleo Murdoch Park and its location. And so we sought through the community input process to address those concerns. And that is kind of the focus of today's presentation. Now, there we go. So we really went all out to conduct, an outreach plan for this really important community project. We really wanted, it was part of Beth's concept for, that which we should not forget is what came out of the focus group to her. And so she really wanted to get people from the Southside community to share their personal and collective memories that would be incorporated into it. So we wanted current Southside residents, but also past, or people who have really strong ties to the neighborhood. And, it was your memories matter, and we really want to shape this art with your story. So, so we went about trying to do that. And we tried first with having Naras out here. We, plastered, our outreach, tried to get people to a in-person public meeting. And we got 8 very involved community members, but they were all from one neighborhood. They had lived in the South Side, but they now were from La Plaza Vieja. So we were missing, key community members. So we knew we had to go out again because, it isn't anything that we do as part of this program just to check a box and said we had a public meeting. That's not what we do in public art. So we tried again through the Connect Flagstaff online survey. Wow, we got a much better response, but also, as you'll see, we reached out to key community members in person and got them on board with us. One of those actually came through the Connect Flagstaff survey with a negative comment about how the South Side wasn't the South Side anymore. The city had ruined the South Side. And, basically, but it was an old time member who had given a lot of history about the South Side in the past. And we did personal outreach to that person and told her how we were going to approach this project very differently. Then he became an advocate and outreach to other members for us. So, again, And I'm going to give, all credit for all of this outreach to Kristen Perhito, our project administrator. We did, the country radio interviews, again, all these personalized emails, all these personalized phone calls in order to reach this community. And these are the three people we really want to thank for helping with that outreach. John Dunlap, Cicely Warden, and Crystal Warden Grant. And then these are all the people who gave, their individual contributions. And we got to present the result of this. And the artist did take something from absolutely everybody who contributed and is included. And I know this is hard to read from here, but we presented this at the April meeting to the Southside Community Association. And we got quite a different reaction from our previous presentations. They love it. They said it reminds them of their community. They were really happy with it. Debbie was smile. It was, we knew that we had to do this extra effort for this project, and was even a member of that association, a board member, who said that she wasn't from, Flagstaff, but the kind of comments that came through even reminded her of the kind of like tight-knit community that she had come from, even though it wasn't as specific. I think the thing that the Dogtown reference got a lot of comments, so it was individual enough. It did not come across to them as generic. So, this will be our sculpture. Now it has its words. And so I seek, the approval of this commission for this final design.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? I think you've done a really incredible job. Thank you. I too had my doubts. And I think that you've really answered them.
Yeah. And I really do also want to praise Beth Nineback, because there was a lot of story for her to distill down. In the end, she got so much that she had to distill it down, obviously, because of the nature of the sculpture. And she did a really incredible job. No, it's the original selection committee did choose the artist well.
Yes, that was I remember that selection committee was tough. There was a lot of really interesting art. That's what it was. So cool. If there aren't any other questions or comments, and it seems like everybody's pretty happy, would we like to consider a motion to approve the final design of Russell for Cleo Murder Park? And okay, any discussion before that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Cruz, are you there? Okay. No. Okay. Anyone against? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now we're returning to BIA? Yes. Hey, how do we want to do this one?
So you take them in order. You'll start with Melissa Ekstrom. And remember, you can make full approvals, you can make provisional approvals where they need to come back to the required element.
Okay.
You can make contingent approvals that they need to provide. And you have in the past, I know with the downtown business associations, they've come back with the actual, chosen artwork. But you don't have to, but you can. So,
okay, could we at least the beginning of each presentation up on the screen so we're remembering what we're looking at? Please.
Melissa Ekstrom.
I have a disobedient computer today.
That's all right.
I wouldn't know what you did to make it angry because it's not big cooperating with you today.
No, it's between
I'm
me
joking.
and God.
Okay, that sounds like a story that needs to be told.
Awesome. Okay, do you want to have a discussion about this project? Do you have any thoughts, questions, concerns? I know that, did you feel that your questions about the seats had been answered, Claire?
Yeah, I feel good about it, especially when they've involved Coconino County. That oversight will be.
Okay, yeah.
I know everything's expensive, but the price of those chairs just blows my mind.
It
Oh,
did
gosh.
surprise me because I just bought an Adirondack rocker from World Market for $135.
Probably not.
Not as durable.
Great.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, once you have to get into public site furnishings, the numbers,
Oh, yeah.
it's shocking.
That's
Yeah.
a little shock.
Yeah.
But if they're spending that much and it is that material that they use for like decks and stuff, they're gonna get good life out of those chairs. And it sounds like they're already, well, I mean, how could you not love an Adirondack chair unless you have mobility issues?
Yeah.
But
Actually, to back out a little bit, do we have any limitations on the number we can approve? No, you can approve all of
That includes next month also. Just
Yeah.
split us.
them.
That's a lot.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
It is.
Huge
It is.
amount.
It is.
I thought for sure we'd have to like pare some down just
Yeah.
for, oh, it's
Okay.
crazy.
Okay, so backing back into this conversation, does anybody have any questions or concerns at all? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve this one?
Motion to approve as is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries, this one's approved. I suppose Melissa Ekstrom's proposal is approved, not this one.
Okay.
This one is approved.
This one is approved. All right, who's next?
Mr. Lestrada, Sego Lily Trail Native Plants.
I love this.
I
yeah,
really impressed
Yeah.
by the level of detail that she brought to improve her presentation.
especially given this is an individual, not an organization. That is very.
Yeah.
I get, I don't know if feelings are, I have a feeling she's gonna get that water to that site.
Yeah.
You don't have a workout, do
The good news is that I really think her plant selection was smart. Most of those
Yes.
plants would grow in that space by themselves if they had the opportunity. So, but they need a little help to get there. And I really like the fact that she's got some partnership with the county to get
Yeah.
crap in there. That's
Yeah.
gonna be required to make that hill functional.
Yeah, that would really, because, yeah, the plants need time to solve the erosion issue. That,
Yeah.
the combination doesn't work, so.
Yeah. And it sounds like she's got good community buy-in and she might have some help lugging that water.
And actually, I ran that trailhead this morning and it does get covered in mud.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is an existing issue.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, I will make a motion to approve the Seagull Lily Trailhead, transformed proposal. All in favor? Aye. Great.
Yes. I'm gonna ask that we move the Alice Christie Pinkertopia to, the June meeting.
Does that require any approval?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can we make a motion to approve moving House Christie's proposal for Tinkercopia to the next meeting?
So moved.
All in favor? You guys are taking there.
Yeah.
We're sharing a break.
Yeah.
These meetings are very enjoyable. It's very
I like this commission.
nice. Okay, downtown alley mural, downtown Flagstaff, guys, there's not a ton of detail, but I do trust that these guys have, the success of downtown
Yep.
in mind.
Yeah.
So, and in particular, I've seen Hunter's work in the past with other downtown areas. He has a pretty high standard. So I think I would like them to see the art. Yes. If that's possible.
Yeah.
Could we also maybe, once they have a better idea of what this is gonna look like, maybe ask for just a little bit more detail in the budget? It's literally just the artisans' eyes and.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can make it contingent upon them providing a budget with the actual art proposal.
Yeah, the art proposal, or at least a thorough concept. I mean, if it's something that's gonna be painted, if it's a painted artwork, we might not be able to see the actual piece.
Right.
So, yeah, I would like to make a motion contingent upon seeing the final budget and, an artwork concept or the artwork itself.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded? Sorry.
I did.
Okay, thank you. So fast.
We are a team.
Yeah.
Downtown Flagstaff Foundation, which is the three, green signal cabinets.
For this one, I'm really supportive of what they're doing, but it applies.
But you did include a quote from Film Tech, that how much to install graphs.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
seeing the proposal.
An artwork concept.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, this location was like, have we not done this already?
Yeah.
Like,
I was just thinking about how we just painted them.
No, we did just paint them downtown green, that's true.
But I think that'll just mean the surface is well prepped and fresh.
Yeah.
So, would anybody like to make a motion or?
Motion approved contingent on seeing the.
In that? Oh, I was gonna take the burden off of you.
We're sharing. Both sides, every side.
Okay, so who's the second?
Carla.
Yeah, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Commissioner Crowley's gonna recuse yourself on this next one. And Black, Artemis to Zora.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about this one? I was really happy to see another performance oriented
Yes.
exhibition.
Yeah.
We haven't really had one happen yet, I don't think, so, it's nice to see another one, and I want to encourage it, so, I'm in favor, I'll make a motion to approve.
Seconded.
Great, all in favor? Aye.
Then next is Sky Black, Western Coast Mural.
Great.
They answered our questions.
The Sky Black one?
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody have any thoughts, questions? I'm actually pleased to see something new go up there.
I'm just really excited to see what they come up with.
Me too.
Yeah.
Both of those artists, and I really like them.
Yes.
This is one where I don't feel nervous about not having a concept because they have proven themselves time and time again. I remember meeting Sky like 10 years ago at Fire Creek when he was raising funds for the orphan mural.
And I mean, in the end, I don't think, I mean, based on the answers, we don't have an option to see.
No.
I don't want to execute it. So, but given their experience executing.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're gonna
Yeah.
do a great job whatever they come up with. And it'll be G-rated.
Yeah.
And unlike some of the other submissions that we're approving, when they're asking for a concept, this one is.
Yeah.
Which is important. So I
We
feel,
know who the artists are, the other ones we don't.
Yes, that'd be definitely on track record.
Yeah.
okay, would anybody like to make a motion to?
Second.
I was gonna ask you, Cheryl.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Diana Henry, the Jack Welch Bridge mural. Base.
That one sure has a lot of support.
Yes. I think we would find our heads on stakes.
I don't want to make a decision that way, but I do believe you are correct. I did actually, I was curious, Matt, given your expertise in public lands, what your experience is, if there's anything positive or negative you could relate. Or if you're willing to, because you obviously don't have to, but, and Claire, also your experience in public spaces, if you have any concerns about the art placement.
I don't have any concerns. I live over there and we're in there at least once a week, often more than that. And that bridge is very well traveled.
Yes.
So I think it's like a great location. Cause you haven't been there, but if you go to the parking lot, you walk across the bridge and then you get to like the main pictographs.
I'm chaperoning third graders there tomorrow.
Yep. And they're also,
Next week, so no one next week.
and there's also
It's lovely.
a proposal, I think, with pros. They're gonna redo the trail on the north side of the Rio. Cause right now it's a pipeline and that's not super cool, but like they're gonna build it on the canyon. So there's a lot of work going into Picture Canyon. Really underutilized area that I think is getting a lot more love. So I think it's a great location. And then in terms of like, it's visible enough and a good location there that I don't think anybody mess with it. And also it's just all gonna be, it's gonna look awesome, I assume.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, I like beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, I wouldn't mount it to the bridge just because I think the materials of the bridge and the width of it and people being able to see, but they have a lot of support. They thought it through, and I think there is something to be said for it's meaningful to people for it to be on the bridge and it can be
Yeah.
moved. And so ultimately, if that needs to get relocated, then I think that really matters. Mostly it's just the meaning and symbolism for people.
I agree with that there's literally nowhere else for it to go anywhere near the bridge. That's the whole thing I was thinking of. It's kind of weird and clunky, like on the
Yeah,
bridge.
like,
But like, I get it, like naming it after Jack was awesome.
Yeah.
And like, it's great to have something there, but like the parking lot is the next closest spot where there could reasonably be
Yeah.
something and there's already being turf signs there, so.
They're
Yeah.
gonna, you could put a new post in and, do something
Yeah.
about that. I understand the meaning, so.
Yeah.
In that sense, I don't
And not
have any contingencies. for it.
Yeah.
Not to leave you guys out of that conversation, I was just asking your outdoor experts. Okay, okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We got some marks. We got a great variety of projects.
What's crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So. All right, you guys, are we, since we skipped around so much, are we at the end? Yes, we are. That was fantastic.
I was so stoked when I saw it.
Matt's actually had 5 shots of espresso.
Be there at 8 o'clock.
He has to go run around the city hall now.
Well done.
Split it up. We couldn't do that. That's very smart. Thank you very much. Do we have any requests for future agenda items? The time and date for the upcoming meeting is feedback meeting on June 9th. And we are adjourned. Woo-hoo. Everybody. That was very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.